Okay, I'm standing in front of panel number 3 of the timeline, and you can see from all these articles coming down to the picture of the fire company in 1920, they had a big field day. It was the 35th anniversary of the fire company, and from all accounts, this was one big shindig in town. They had a couple all-day affairs with different races and competitions and picnics and all kinds of things going on, celebrating 35 years of existence. Moving past them into the 20s, we got the first ladder truck. That was the Mack hook and ladder. Other ladders were carried on the apparatus, but not of this number or length. As Plainville got taller buildings, we needed longer ladders, hence the first ladder truck. This is a service ladder. It is not an aerial ladder. It just carried all the ladders. We have a picture in front of the rebuilt town hall showing the 3 apparatus at the time. On the left is a Pierce Arrow touring car given to the fire company by Frank Wheeler, an industrialist in town. His company ended up being the General Electric company. That's on the far left. On the far right is the Mack ladder, still in service. It's about 12 years old at the time. And the one in center is the most interesting. It's an American LaFrance. You can't see double, but that American LaFrance was made from parts from 2 American LaFrance. They were constructed about the same time. They had interchangeable parts. Each one had things wrong, and the fire company took them both apart and built this one truck, which served the town for quite a number of years. The apparatus is getting bigger. The building where the apparatus is housed isn't getting bigger. So, after a lot of bargaining, the town was able to secure a new firehouse being constructed from funds and the WPA. There are pictures of the cornerstone laying of the new fire station on Whiting Street. The fire company vacated the town hall and moved into the new firehouse in 1936. We'll show more of the building and the apparatus in our next panel. Okay, we have now moved into the new headquarters on Whiting Street. And our group of fire apparatus, only one major change. This is now the Buffalo, right, which is brand new. The same American LaFrance from the previous picture, and the same Mack ladder truck from the previous picture. The fire company has grown in size. This is a 1943 picture showing the fire company members in front of the station. There are new apparatus being added. And one thing of note is this center picture. This picture is October 1951. It shows 14 Trumbull men. Trumbull Manufacturing became General Electric in Plainville, and there was a public address system that could be accessed from the fire station to announce, "Attention Plainville firefighters, you have a fire at," whatever the address might be. Very civic-minded was the Trumbulls, and General Electric carried on that same tradition of allowing men to leave for fires and other emergencies. Let me get out of the way so we can talk about this fire coat. This fire coat is on loan from Peter Lennon, a longtime town clerk of Plainville, retired not too long ago as a firefighter. This is from the late 50s, early 60s. It is a rubberized coat, Very good at keeping you dry if it's raining or from hose streams, but also because it's rubberized, it didn't breathe, and you would drown in your own fluids. Offered some protection, but better than the canvas coats, but a long way from our present Nomex, which we'll talk about a little later. Okay, we're back at panel 4, and I'd like to introduce the first chief that I ever knew, and that's Bill Foran. He was our 4th chief, and again, I said I had the honor of being a pallbearer at a lot of chiefs, and Bill Foran was the first chief I was a pallbearer at. We also started getting apparatus. 1941 Diamond T. It was still in service when I joined the fire department, so this is the first apparatus I got to drive. We went through more apparatus, and we came to the next chief. The next chief was Joe Fletcher. Chief Fletcher was my first chief. He was chief from 1957 to 1975, and as I said previously, I had joined the fire department in 1970. So this was my first chief, the first one who gave me orders, and I didn't question them. You can see the fire company is also growing, where we started out with 20 members and went to 30. We're up to 48 members here. This is 1954. We're continuing the timeline. This is the 5th panel, and a lot of things have gone on. One of the things is we continue to get new apparatus. We get apparatus that's bigger, better, pumps more water, carries more equipment. The town has been very good to the fire company in providing excellent equipment. I lost him. Where's my chief? Oh, our next fire chief is Cliff Sturgeon. Cliff, a longtime member of the fire company, became the 6th chief in 1975. Cliff's reign as chief is marked by several large fires, but we handled them. Moving from Cliff, we moved to 1980 when Howard Swanson became chief, and that time I became captain of the fire company. Again, we started with fires, and one fire in particular pictured me as our half-axed captain. This fire, unfortunately, a lady died in this fire. But if you can see the picture of that axe, it's the last picture of the axe as one piece, because here are the other pieces. When I threw it off the equivalent of the 3rd story onto the ground, so I could then descend the ladder, the axe broke. The apparatus that we've gotten through the years is very evident in this picture. This is 3 of the 4 ladder trucks. The old Mack is gone. It's no longer around. The first truck is a 1949 Diamond T. This is a service ladder, carried 250 feet of ground ladders, 500 GPM rotary gear pump. And then we went to the Snorkel in 1968. The Snorkel was built by American LaFrance. It was an 80-foot aerial. It was the first aerial platform that Plainville had. You can see the difference between the 1949 and the 1968. We went to a 1,000-gallon-a-minute pump and an aerial bucket that went up 80 feet. The last one in line is our newest aerial. It came in 1993. It's a KME 102-foot aerial platform with a 2,000 GPM pump. This can either fill or empty a swimming pool in a matter of minutes. The amount of water that this can pump is totally unbelievable. and totally unbelievable. Just 20 years before, no one would have imagined one piece of apparatus pumping 2,000 GPM. Once Swanee became chief in 1980, things were starting to move quickly towards 1985. When was the company established? Come on, it's a quiz. Who guessed 1885? Perfect. We're coming up on the 100-year anniversary. We planned for several years for all the celebrations that went on with that. It was a year-long celebration. We had everything from a fireman's parade and ladies' night and a fireman's ball instead of a policeman's ball. We had a lot of things go on. And the night of our ladies' night, which we had on January 12th, the exact 100-year anniversary of the founding of the fire company, everything was delayed for several hours. Why would we delay it? Big fire. My wife and I were driving into the parking lot, ready to join other people there, when the fire whistle blew, and we went to a fire that had Plainville, Southington, and Bristol fight a fire, heavily damaged a farmhouse that was also over 100 years old. So we went to our fire in our formal fire suits. Some of them got ruined, all of them got wet. We went home, changed, and did the best we could to look like we had uniforms for the actual anniversary dinner. After we got through our celebration for 1985, we also had the first female firefighter in Plainville. Now, in the 122 years, we have never had what's called a regular female firefighter. Sandra Young became the first lady to try to become a firefighter. She was on the waiting and possibly onto the substitute list, working her way towards being a regular firefighter when Jobs and her husband, who was also a Plainville firefighter, had to move out of state, and hence she never became our firefighter. After our 100th anniversary, we started with our next station. Our next station was pushed very heavily by Chief Howard Swanson. Howard Swanson was the driving force behind us getting that station. As a result, Howard stayed a few extra months past his allotted time by town ordinance, so he was chief for the dedication of that firehouse, an honor well deserved. As soon as we moved in, after the dedication, we came to the 8th fire chief, Joe Watkins. Joe Watkins was chief for the 8 years that town ordinance allows, and the department and fire company moved forward under Joe's leadership. Joe, as all the other fire chiefs, started out as a rookie firefighter, moved up through the company ranks of second lieutenant, lieutenant, captain, second assistant chief, first assistant chief, and finally chief. Joe, along with Armin Lyons, were the first 2 emergency medical technicians